couple of weeks ago, I went and fished the Dorset Stour on the Wimborne stretch for the first time this season. Late November, a drop-in river, a little bit high, nice tinge of colour, not a fantastically nice wind, a little bit downstream and in, but I fished a swim where it wasn't the widest bit. I didn't need to fish very far out. I could fish a couple of rod lengths out in about 8 or 9 foot of water, and there were a few fish topping above me in a bay, and they looked like roach. They weren't bleak, they were sort of reasonable sized fish, 3 or 4 ounces. And I fished bread punch over some ground bait, a mixture of gross gardon and breadcrumbs, and after about 20 minutes or so I got a response. I did get 4 or 5 bites over sort of 15-20 minutes, landed 3 roach between 2 and 4 ounces, lost another one that was maybe a bit bigger, and then it died. And I came away thinking I should be doing better than this. It's almost like the few roach there, I've got them feeding, I've probably overfed them because there aren't a lot of fish there, and that's been it. There's something really wrong here. To confirm this, a few days later, about 5 days later, the Wimborne club who run the stretch had a match on there, and the conditions, as far as I can tell, were reasonable, and the match was won with 2 minnows. This is not very good. Last year I didn't fish the stretch at all. There were one or two matches where there was some fish in very isolated swims. 1 or 2 other matches where again they were down to minnows or hardly anything. So even in the good matches there might be quite a reasonable weight winning, and then dropping right down for second. Third is scratching a few fish, and that's about it. The year before, so we're going back 2 years now, I had some catches. I caught fish down there, but not a lot, 1 or 2 over a pound, mainly small roach, but no great numbers, sort of 10 or 15 roach. If we go back 4 years, when I rejoined the Wimborne Club the previous spring, so coming into the late autumn and then through the winter, when the river was right and I got a pretty good feel for when the fishing is going to be good, I was getting fantastic catches, anything from 60 to 90 odd roach, with quite a few over a pound. Nothing massive, but up to 1.8, 1.9 or so, and some the odd dace. And most of those catches 4 years ago were from the bypass down towards the boathouse, the Camford boathouse. The following year, 3 years ago, having done some videos, I obviously made certain swims very popular, and those swims got hammered, which I don't think is the cause of the problems now, but back then certain swims got hammered, and I thought I need to find some fish for myself, and I started to fish upstream of Wimborne bypass all the way up to pretty much opposite the Dream Boats, which is the top of the Wimborne stretch. And I found fish in these alternative swims up above the island, found swims there, got to know them. And towards the end of that season, it got quite interesting in that the roach started to feed quite late, so into late February, and they started to feed at sort of 5 o'clock till 6. But I could catch quite a lot of fish in that time, at up to sort of 30 or 35 roach. And I had some quite good ones up there as well, up to I think like 112, had a big grayling as a bonus. So my diaries record a decline that has happened in just 4 years, 5 seasons, of going from truly excellent down to there's some fish there, but they're hard to find. They're only going to feed in ideal conditions. So what's the problem? If we go back 5 or 6 years, Wimborne were able to do some culling of the cormorants. And the fact that culling was taking place, not only does it remove ones that are doing the damage, it also deters others, so they start to avoid that stretch. The message soon gets round them that they can't go there. And then about 2 or 3 years ago, they're always seeing cormorants. I think the shooting sort of stopped, and DEFRA this year's been deaf to the pleas from angling clubs to cull cormorants. Oh, there's bird flu. Oh, their numbers are going down. Well, all I can say, there's plenty of cormorants on the Stour, and they are doing immense damage. So I think there's been a sort of step down from a peak of maybe before I started fishing it again, because I'd fished it in the past plenty of times and did extremely well around about 2009-10, and the following year it fell off a cliff. The fishing was dreadful, virtually impossible to catch a fish down there. Then I let my membership lapse, went several years, and of course then I heard that the fishing had picked up again, and that it had picked up again because of the culling of the cormorants. This stretch has the potential for fantastic roach fishing, for enormous numbers of roach. Absolutely enormous numbers of roach that grow quite quickly. There's lots of weed and food there in the summer. Great big wide stretch full of weed, lots of food. They'll grow fast and come on really quickly. Sadly, I don't have an answer to this. Unless the club is able to consistently cull the cormorants, and few anglers are actually bothered with roach fishing on the river anymore. Yeah, there's a hardcore of match anglers, there's a hardcore of other roach anglers like myself who want to get on the river and catch roach. And when it's right on there and the wind's right, despite the rowing boats or whatever, it's just lovely that you've got that lovely, strong, powerful flow. It's challenging. It's a fair old walk to get to the swims. There's less parking down at Camford School now. The access has been opened up for building a new housing estate. Well, the last time I went there, I actually took a trolley, which made life easier. It's hard to know what can save it. I don't know. I live in hope. This bit of fishing has come back in the past many times, and it's almost as if the cormorants say, that's it, it's just not worth our time. It's almost like they choose to leave it alone for a few years and then come back again. I don't know. It's not even in their interest to annihilate it. But until those good times come back, I'm going to seek pastures new away from Wimborne. The upper Stour still seems to be okay. There are parts of the lower Stour where, when conditions settle down and the weather's right, I need to have a dabble and see if I can find some of the bigger roach. I'm not worried about catching 20 or 30 pound. I don't use a keep net, but 1 or 2 decent ones wouldn't come amiss. Until next time, it's goodbye from me.